Okay, I want to quickly go through the warm-up and some notes from today. Basically, these parts you kind of need to know. The slant height, also known as the lateral apothem sometimes. The apex is just the top. The height is straight up and down from top to the base all the way to the apex. A lateral edge would be any one of these along the side here. Lateral means side. Face, it's a little hard to tell, but anything that's a flat plane on the outside's a face, and then any one of these corners can be called a vertex. All right, a lot of times you will be given these, or maybe you'll calculate these, but then you'll need to calculate the height. You obviously need to use Pythagorean theorem to do that. So if that's 4 and that's 10, 4 squared plus a squared equals 10 squared. Do 100 minus 16, take the square root, and that's 7.6. Surface area and volume. Surface area, you're just going to add up all the surfaces. The bottom's an 8 by 8 square, so it's 64. There are 4 sides, 4 lateral sides, and they're each 1/2 times 8 times 10 is our slant height there. So 4 times 1/2 times 8 times 10, and when I add all those up, the 64 and the 160 gives me 224. Finally, volume for any kind of pointed shape that has a flat bottom is always going to be 1/3 of the base, 64, times the height, 7.6, or approximately 162 units cubed. As always, instead of multiplying by 1/3, obviously you can multiply those two together and divide by 3. We'll skip to this. Sometimes you might get a net. This will all fold up into a pointy shape when I put all this together. You'll get a net like this, and maybe you're only told the side. Normally you'd be told the slant height, but maybe you're only told this edge along here. Typically we probably would give you the slant height. But you can calculate those. If there's enough information to calculate these. So first of all, our base apothem. This is the hardest. We have to figure out our central angle here. There's 7 of these, so 360 divided by 7 means central angle is 51.4, or when I put an altitude in there, that's half that, or 25.7. And then I'm going to have to use, because there's not any shortcut here, I'm going to have to use trig. I'm going to have to say the tangent of this is opposite over adjacent. Now I know this opposite number. It's 4. It's half the 8. So tan of 25.7 is equal to 4 divided by a, or 0.4813 is equal to 4 over a. I can cross multiply and solve. Ultimately, the 4 gets divided by the 0.4183, and I get 8.3 for the base apothem. So I've got that taken care of. Lateral apothem, once again, we use Pythagorean theorem, because this is 4, it's half the 8. This is 12, so 4 squared plus a squared equals 12 squared. So 144 minus 16 divided square root is about 11.3. So I have the lateral apothem, or what's called the slant height. And finally, the altitude. If I think about this thing pieced together, this is along the bottom. This is like our original picture. This is our slant height. So I got 8.3, and the height, or the altitude, and 11.3. I plug that into Pythagorean theorem, and I get about 7.7. And at this point, I can go through the calculations again to figure out base area times the height times 1/3 to get the volume, or base area plus the sum of all those little triangles to figure out surface area. That is all.